Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy late holidays. I think Hanukkah's already over, but another Gear Talk videos. It's a Thursday. The reason I'm doing this, I got my Santa hat on and everything. This comes out on Thursdays. I'm going to miss Christmas this year for the videos. It's going to be late Christmas when I get up the next one, so I figured I might as well do it now, so at least it seems like I have things on time. I would release this on Christmas, but I feel I should just stick to my schedule for now since I just started these up I think 2 months ago. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Merry Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. I know there's a few other ones. I think Robotnica is from Futurama, but anyway. So, today's video, we're going to be talking about 25 years later is what I put up on Twitter, is what the name will kind of be called, because I didn't know what to do for a video this week because I was kind of late getting to my planning process. So I went up on Twitter and set up a poll. What video do you think would be a video I would do today? And the options were if Gears of War Judgment was really a bad game, Gears of War 25 years later. I also had, let's see what else. I can't remember. I actually have the list right here. I just wrote it down quickly. I also had my top 5 favorite games, counting the DLCs, and I also had the families in Gears of War, which is one I'm going to be jumping on later on. What are 25 years later Gears of War, you ask? Well, I'm glad you did. Here's the answer. 25 years later is what I put down as looking at the characters of Gears of War and what they're up to 25 years later after the events of 3. For instance, we already know what's up with Marcus, Baird, Cole, Sam. We know what's going on with them. Even Hoffman, we know about him too. But that's not all the characters. We don't know what every single person is doing. So, I thought, and I know because the last 2 weeks have been nothing but lists, I would make another list. Not really a top 10 or anything, just stating what I think happened to the characters and what they're currently doing. So, I should also say, for this list, I won't be covering characters like, obviously, Kim, Rojas, if you remember who that is, Anthony, Ben, or Dom, because we know what happened to them before the end of 3. Spoiler, they're dead. Anyway, I'm going to go over quickly to the characters like Marcus and all them and just briefly say what they're up to and what they're doing. And then, yeah, we'll just go on to the characters we don't know about yet. So, hope you enjoy. So, starting off, we go with Marcus. And I'm not going to have any guys in the corner here for these because it's not really talking about the character or anything. I'm just briefly going to go over this. I know I say short videos and they end up in the 20-minute range, but I am aiming for this one to be an actual short video. So, Marcus, we know that he ended up leaving the COG for some reason. He's still a decorated hero to them, but we don't exactly know why he left. It could be he wasn't happy with how the COG was being run now, or he wasn't happy with the whole machine aspect. It could be anything like that, but we do know right now he may be a gear again, or he may just be there as like an honorary gear, because we saw for the trailer with 5. He is back. He is helping out the COG. JD, Del, Kate, they're all COG soldiers. So he could be back as a full-time COG. But he is roughly in his 60s, so I don't really know if he's a COG or like an advisor or something like that. So that's the current situation with Marcus. Now, I did have Dom down on the list, but like I said, we already know what happened with Dom. We know he's not around in 4 or even 5. We know he's not around. The only thing of Dom we do know right now that is around is his name, because JD is James Dominic Santiago. So in a way, when it comes to Dom, his name does still exist. It is still carried on through JD. So as for Dom himself, he's not around, but his name still does live on. All right, on to Cole. So we know that Cole, by what we've seen by the prologue, is still welcomed by the COG, or he doesn't have a big issue with it. Even if he has an issue, he doesn't have anything major where he wouldn't attend or see them at all. Because we do see him during the honoring ceremony, him, Sam, and Hoffman. He is sitting there, hands behind his back, standing right there, being honored for, I think it was 25 years after the final battle that ended the war between humans and locusts. So he's still in good standings. We know he's still in good faith when it comes to Marcus and Baird and everybody. We know that he's seen very well upon by the public, by JD himself. So we know that Cole is he's still good. Maybe not as I don't know. I feel there's more with these characters 25 years later, but for the past years, we just weren't given that much in 4. And I'm thinking in 5, maybe a little more. But I still think we're not going to get much since we're focusing on Kate and the Locust. So Cole, he's still doing fine. We'll see what more comes out of him later on throughout the series. All right, now on to Baird. Baird's a little more interesting because he's kind of the same with Cole, except like, I shouldn't say the same. Here's Cole, here's Baird. He's like the opposite of Baird. When it comes to the COG, we don't know if he's still a part of it in any way. We know for a fact he created the DBs. We don't know if he has his own company, if that's a COG-owned company. We know that Damon Baird Industries is his own thing. We know that he's also with Sam. They may not be married. They will. They are romantically involved, though. He could just be contracted by the COG, so he could have left to do his own thing. He wasn't at the honoring ceremony. He was watching it, though. So we do know that he at least takes an interest in what the COG is doing, but he's not... He didn't go there. So that could have been many things. He's not welcome at the COG. I think he would be because of the DBs. Or maybe he's a contractor and he left, so he's still a part of it, but he's not a soldier. It could be anything. We do know, though, he still does have access to a bunch of tech, whether it's his own or I'm guessing some from the COG. So still some good standings. JD doesn't see that highly of him. When I did my top 10 characters, I talked about Baird and his relationship somewhat with JD, so I'm not going to go into that. But it really does seem like Baird is trying to get on people's good side, even though it's kind of like his personality and the things he's done kind of don't point him in that direction. So we know Baird is still doing well, and I do think we'll get more out of him when it comes to 5. All right, I said I wouldn't talk much about Anya in this one. Actually, no, I didn't say that. I said Dom. I didn't say Anya. So with Anya, got to make sure the hat's good to go for the holidays. We know she made it past the Gears of War 3. We know because she was in the ending. We know that JD was roughly 2 or 3 when we last saw her in the trailer for 4, when Marcus was playing the tree and putting his initials into it. But as far as we know, we know she's dead. We know that. But we don't know how she died. I think it was some form of illness. I think it was kind of hinted at. So I'm not going to go deep into Anya because she's passed on. But we do know that she went along with Marcus. I don't know if they were away from the Gears at that point or if the Gears haven't created the new COG yet. But we do know that she was with Marcus in the Stroud estate. So I think we'll get more out of what happened to her. If not, I mean, they'll come out with comics, I'm sure, and we'll at least get something. They're going to say how Anya died. With the role she played in the first few games, we're going to know how she went. So Anya's dead. That's sad. She was a good character. Let's go on. All right, so I have Hoffman up next, and we know that Hoffman's alive. We know that he still does hold his pride toward the Gears. He was at the ceremony that was honoring the Gears, so we know he's still held highly amongst the Gears. I don't think we're going to see much out of him. Maybe people will talk about him or we'll see him now and then, but he's not going to be a combatant because he is... We don't know if he's stuck to a wheelchair, but we know he's in one right now. So my guess is that Hoffman will be seen later on, but he won't be a combatant or participant or anything in any of the future events. Maybe he'll be used as a chief advisor. That's the best I can see, because Hoffman will do anything to keep fighting. He doesn't want to retire, but there comes a point where it's like you can't keep going. So Hoffman's alive. We'll see what minor role he'll probably take up from here. Now, these next few characters I have, they aren't really major characters, but it's felt that they should be mentioned. So I'm kind of going to do a lightning round, but not really. I'm still going to go a little bit into them, but I'm going to quickly go through them because these aren't really like the main characters anymore. Starting off, sorry, I got the burps. Holiday prepping has gotten me eating a bunch of stuff to test because I have a holiday party I have to prep for the day before this video is going to be out. So I've already got everything I need for, but I'm getting off track. Sorry. Next up, I have Clay Carmine. Now, it's not stated what happens to him. These next few, it's kind of like that. It's never stated here or there. We know that he made it through 3. It's unknown his status as of 25 years later. We know Gary's alive, and a lot of people have theorized maybe Gary is Clay's son, and I think that is a possibility. But my possibility is, and I'll make a whole other video for this character because he needs one. I've been saying that about a lot, but he's actually going to get his own very soon because I do want to talk about him. I think that Gary could be Dee's son. We don't know the full name, but we know of a D. Carmine. I think Gary is D's son because we know that D was alive by the beginning of 2. We know he was alive because Benjamin openly states he has 4 brothers, well, 3 now. So that goes to say that when Anthony died, there were still 3 brothers alive. So Gary could be his son, so it's up in the air if Clay could be alive. I personally think he is because he's one of the only Carmines that can actually live through like horrific events or fights or anything like that. So I think Clay's alive. I don't know what his current situation is, but I'm sure it'll be stated later on what the situation with Clay is. Maybe we'll even see his face if they show him, because we've never seen a Carmine face before, except for William, which was from the comics, but that'll be another conversation altogether too. So Clay, I think he's alive right now. On to Dizzy. So I think Dizzy is dead. I don't think it was stated if he was alive or not, but I think Dizzy is dead because it would fit his character, because his girls are finally going to grow up and be proper women now. They're actually going to be grown up. They're not teenagers or children anymore. They're actually going to be adults. And I feel that Dizzy would have seen his kids become adults, and then right after they finally became women, like they're living their own lives, he would finally pass on. I feel like it would be the ending like in BioShock, the very ending when all the little sisters are holding on to Jack's hand when he finally passes. I feel that would kind of be Dizzy's role, with his girls holding his hand, knowing that he finally got them to where they can be happy in life and they can have their own lives. So I think it'd be very poetic for Dizzy. So in my opinion, I hate to say it because he's my favorite character, I think Dizzy is dead after 25 years. Okay, talking about Jace. Now Jace, we don't know what happened to him either. I believe he is alive because Jace, he was a younger Gear when we met him. So it's only been 25 years. Some of the characters are in their 60s and 70s even. I think Hoffman's like 80 or 90 now. I think maybe a high 80. Jace would still be somewhat young. I think maybe early 50s, maybe high 40s. Because he wasn't that old when he was actually... Because he was a little kid during E-Day. And let's jump forward 15-ish years, 20-ish. So yeah, he'd be like high 40s or 50s if he was the youngest you could get. So I think Jace is alive. I think we're going to get something out of him soon. Maybe nothing major, but he is going to be mentioned. I think he's still alive. All right, this next one, easy. I can cover this really quick. Sam. I believe Sam's still alive. Well, no, she is alive. We already know this. Sam's alive. She's with Baird. We don't know if they have a kid or not or how romantic they are, but they are romantic towards one another. She's alive. This one's quick. Next one up. All right, I have Bernie up next. We don't know what happened with her either. We didn't see her at the, we saw her in the prologue, so obviously they didn't forget about her in the game. Because I'm making sure. She was really heavy in the books. I don't want anyone to forget Bernie, really. One of my favorite characters, too. I think Bernie is probably dead. Hoffman's just a tough son of a bitch. He's going to continue living and serving the cog. Bernie, though, I feel like once the action finally simmered down and she could just retire with Hoffman, I think she finally did pass on. So, Bernie, I love you. I'm pretty sure you're dead by now. Okay, next up, this one's the hardest one to cover because of how the writing was, and we have no clue if this woman is alive or not because they left it so ambiguous. You know who it is if you saw the last video. Sophia from Judgment. Okay, where to begin? So, she's never mentioned again. And I know they haven't forgotten about it because they mentioned Paddock in 4 when you get the intel about him. So I know they don't forget Judgment. Sophia, she was taken by a possible enemy force that had cog tags. I'm not jumping into that because that's been left ambiguous, though you can assume it was former Gears. It is never stated if she's alive or not. The writer says he purposely left it that way, so I can't say if Sophia is alive or not 25 years later. If it's worst case scenario, pretty much, she's dead. She died before the ending of 3. If it's best case scenario, I don't see her ever popping up in 5. Maybe a part of a I don't even know if the Stranded are still a thing 25 years later. I think it's just Outsiders. Well, no. When I get into another character soon, I'll go over that one with a possibility. But for now, Sophia, I don't have a yes or no if she's alive or dead. I think there's a good chance that she's in my opinion dead. If she is alive though, I feel like she's doing something with an outsider group. maybe the Stranded are still around in small sections and she's a part of the Stranded. I don't fully know. So for Sophia, yes or no, it's really up in the air for you to decide on that one. All right, next up we got Paddock. This one's easier. He's not referenced 25 years later. We just get information that he was a major, I believe, he was someone in charge, a major, during the Hammer of Dawn snatch and grab. What was it called? Operation... I don't remember. It's during Asfio Fields when they go and get the Hammer of Dawn plans. I don't remember the name of the operation. It's not Landdown. I think that's when they went into and they tunneled into the Locust territory. Anyway, getting off track. Paddock, I think he's dead by now. I think what he probably did, I don't think he returned to the UIR or anything. I think he probably stayed over at Halvo Bay with his group of people, and when things finished up, you could say, when 3 happened, the Locusts were dead, I think he would have just stayed there and lived out his days. Because Paddock was still a bit old. He was roughly a little younger than Hoffman, but maybe by like 3 to 5 years. He was still somewhat aged up there. So I think he died just living the rest of his life as peacefully as he could. He stayed away from all the sides. He obviously didn't trust anyone anymore. I don't think he knew that the UIR was still around. He didn't trust the COG anymore. Yeah, I think his small group of survivors was his family until the end. So if it wasn't that, he did return to the UIR, and by what we saw for the trailer with 5, I don't think the UIR is around anymore, so I don't think Paddock is either. So, Paddock, I love you too. I'm sorry, you're probably dead. Alright, now going on to a few characters we don't know much about. I only have these last 3 here. So, I have Griffin next up, and we don't know the situation 25 years later, and I actually have an idea of what his stuff could probably be in the future, like 25 years later, because he wasn't that old. I think he was probably in his 40s, so 50s, 60s. I think after everything happened, if the Stranded didn't keep doing their own thing and when everything finally finished, everyone came together, which I doubt, the Stranded could be around here or there. Knowing Griffin, because he's a businessman, I think when everything was said and done and Molshin was gone at that point, so he's kind of screwed. What if he found another business opportunity, maybe in weaponry or maybe the Stranded all formed together as a private militia or something, and he ran it. What if he was contracted, or he's a part of the new COG now, as like his own troops, like mercenaries or something that were once formerly Stranded or the children of Stranded, and he's like the CEO of it. So it's still like Griffin. I think it was like Griffin Enterprises was what it was called. It's still Griffin Enterprises, but now instead of Emulsion, it's like his own military he has. So if he is alive, I think that's what he's doing. If not, I think he's probably died by now. I don't think he has. I think he's still alive somewhere. So if he's alive, I think maybe the idea of his own private militia, because it seems like he would do that. So when it comes to Griffin, still alive, maybe his own private militia. All right, now moving on. We have, let's see, I have Franklin. And if you remember Franklin, you know, he's from 1. You go and get I can't remember it right now. You get the vehicle to go further on that he has that Dom calls in a favor from. And in the DLC for 2, where if you would have taken the stealthy approach, he's locked up and he helps you out too here and there. Never mentioned again in 3 or anywhere further. I think, think about this. With Griffin, if he had his own private militia, Franklin's like a lieutenant or like a second in command or something like that. Or maybe the most experienced out of all of them. I don't know. If he's alive, I think he's doing something with Griffin maybe, where Griffin's his boss. If not, I mean, they've pretty much forgotten about him. He's probably dead. So, Franklin, it's up in the air on him. He's either with Griffin or he's gone. All right, let's close this video out because it's gone long again. I was trying for short. I'm sorry. Finishing it off, the biggest one I have, D. Carmine. I already mentioned him earlier with Clay, but D. Carmine. We barely know anything about him. I'm saving it for the video to actually talk about theories and everything going on with him. Let me just say, if he's alive, he either has contact with Clay, if Clay's alive, which I believe he is, or he's still doing something with the new COG. That's all I'm going to say. I think he is alive, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut from here on out for the future video with D. Carmine. Don't know when, but probably somewhere in the next couple months I'll have a D. Carmine video made. So D, I think he's alive. Okay, I'm sorry that went longer than I thought. I was going to make it shorter. It ended up like this. I hate when they're long because I know you have to sit through all of it for the basic information you want. Like the top 10, you have to sit through me explaining all of it. When I could just say number 10, number 9, number 8. I was going to do a quicker one with this, but it just ended up a lot longer. So, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. I greatly appreciate it. Hit a bell in the corner if you want. That's up to you. Yeah. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Robonica. I think it's Happy Kwanzaa or Merry Kwanzaa. I don't know which one. Have all the fun you want with that. Sorry for all the holidays I missed, like Hanukkah. For all the upcoming ones, I wish you the best. Have a Happy New Year. I'm going on way too long. You guys, love you all. Hope for a great 2019. There'll be one more video. Don't know what it is yet. Have a good one, guys.